everyone, and welcome back to another journaling video. My number one most requested topic is definitely the question of what do I write about? And so I thought I would go in today and talk about some ideas you could have either to start a journal or just daily journaling. Hopefully any of these ideas can just springboard ways for you to start writing more in your journal, or if you still haven't started your own journal, to get on that. I do have my current journal on hand. It's looking pretty great so far, and so I can just refer to this as needed, and I'm just gonna talk about things that I write about, and hopefully you can draw some inspiration from that. I'm gonna start off with my most basic piece of advice, which is also probably going to be the most frustrating advice I could give you. What you write about is up to you, and it's all under your jurisdiction. Any thought that passes through your head can become a journaling topic. And I know as someone who was first starting out journaling, that would have frustrated the heck out of me if someone told me, you don't have anything specific to write about, just write what you want to write. It's a very vague recommendation, but in the end, it's the one thing I can tell you is just write anything. But that being said, there are some different directions that you can pull ideas from, and so I'm gonna be debriefing you on things like that right now. I'm first gonna plug my Tumblr. I do have a journaling tag on my Tumblr page, so if you were interested in scrolling through journal ideas or inspiration or prompts, I have that on my Tumblr, which I will link down below. For someone who's just starting out journaling, I highly recommend writing a pretty long description of your life or your day or a profile about you. Now there are several different reasons why you could start a journal. It might be you want to start journaling because you want to be able to look back on your life and remember things. It might be you want to relieve your feelings. But I'm more of the type of person that wants to write a journal in order to catalog my memories. It's like a scrapbook basically to me. A lot of my journal is just gluing in things that matter to me, as well as including some extraneous thoughts and really just a hodgepodge of things. And I'm sure that if you've watched any of my journal flip through videos, you will have seen that. And if you haven't seen those videos, I will link them down below so you can get some more specific examples of what type of journaling that I do. My number one advice, like I said, is to write something about yourself. And I think this is really great because in the very beginning, you can see where you were at that point in your life. So for example, whenever I first made my first journal, I went on like a 10-page explanation of, I'm Whitney, I'm 16, I'm in this grade, I'm doing this, I like this, I don't like this, I'm stressed about this, I'm not stressed about it. Just like an entire overview of your life. Even things like that, people are like, well, what do I write? Stream of consciousness. The main thing you need to keep in your head when you're writing in your journal is that anything that comes to mind, you put down. And I know a lot of people are afraid that they can't write things because they don't want people to find it. Your journal is your own. You can put what goes down in it, and no one's gonna judge you because it's your private space. That being said, I highly recommend never cross anything out, never get angry and rip out a page, never get rid of these journals because they're gonna become a memory to you. So talk about your life, go through your day and say from start to finish, here's what happened. And I notice that as I do this more, I start to consider my world more acutely. Whenever I'm walking around, I'll note the temperature and I'll note what I feel like as I'm going through my day, and I'll note the specific details of people that I'm with. And I think it's helped me become a more attentive person, and I love that because before I was pretty ignorant. I wouldn't be able to look back on my day and go, today my professor was wearing a green shirt. Now it goes on to daily entries, and of course how many times you enter in your journal is completely up to you. You could do every single day, or if you're busy and you can only do like once a week, twice a month, still perfectly okay. For a long time, I was really upset because I felt like if I didn't write for a certain amount of times, my next entry would have to span over the past couple days that I missed, and so therefore I would continue to procrastinate journaling because I didn't want to have to write more in order to make up for the days that I missed. But now I've recognized that that is totally not necessary. I do not have to fill in any of the days that I missed. It's totally I go to this whenever I want to, not because I have an obligation to do every single day. And once it stops becoming an obligation, it becomes so much more fun and rewarding. But that being said, if you're looking for things to talk about in your subsequent days after creating a journal, there are several different methods you could go, one of which, and a very reliable method, being prompts. Now this seems like a simple solution, but people even ask me, where do I find prompts? My number one advice for prompts is just your good old pal Google. Put in journaling prompts and the first link says 119 journaling prompts for your journal jar. And that's another completely different video, a journaling jar, if you wanted to put in different prompts and pull out one a day. They are everywhere on Google, like every single link, 180 journaling prompts. I don't know how great of prompts these are. A lot of them are self-reflection or listing, and I tend to find that I don't like the prompts that say list 10 things that annoy you, because I don't like having to think about what I write. I like to just do stream of consciousness. Never be afraid to do simple things like that. I did receive some journaling prompt stickers from someone that mailed them to me in exchange for me telling you about them, so I'm gonna link those down below, and I use them quite frequently. There's just little circle stickers that have prompts on them that you can put in every day. There's 365 of them, one for each day. I never have done a prompt every single day of the month. I find they can be a little bit boring because I tend to just write about myself and my day rather than going off from prompts. But if you're someone who likes to write about prompts, I will again have those down below so you can go and check them out and buy them if you're interested. What I ended up doing is on the very inside flap of my journal, I taped in this little sign that says currently. It has a bunch of currently reading, currently watching, currently eating, and I think this is really cool because I can kind of catalog the things that I'm doing in my life at that particular date. And again, those are all over the internet, so just go ham. The next thing that I like to journal about is just my day. I will literally go through and talk about from morning to night, everything that I did that day, who I hung out with. And then I think the main focus I have in my journal, it kind of stems off from that, is I like to talk about my opinions a lot. So for example, I might say, I went to breakfast with Gabby, my roommate. We had eggs. And then I might think about eggs. This is totally arbitrary, but do a rant about eggs or talk about a thought that I have about eggs. And let me see if I can get you an example of something like this, because this is the one thing that I tend to do the most, is just find one thing and then go off about it. And usually those concepts will evolve from things that I have already been considering a lot or turning over in my mind. So a lot of times I talk in my journal about things that I can't seem to stop thinking about. So for example, one of my entries from last year is I was talking about how I hung out with one of my friends. I had like a half-hearted crush on him whenever I was in high school, and so I talked about how our day went, but then I transitioned to I wish I had a boyfriend, you know, just stuff like that. And that's something I think about a lot, is like, why am I single? I hate being single. So this is a great outlet for me to talk about my worries, my fears, my thoughts, my self-consciousness, and just get out all of those negative feelings, and even possibly talk about hopes I have for the future. And that's just a really great therapy for me, to just talk it out on paper. And then this day I was talking about how I stayed in the entire weekend, and that transitioned to I wish I went out more, and that transitioned to I wish I could have done better in high school, and that transitioned to in the future I want to do all these things. I write something, it transitions to something else, I rant about it, it transitions to something else, I rant about it. So my biggest advice is to find one topic. It can be as tiny as the color of the sky or the weather, and just take that, turn that into something else, of a thought that you've been thinking about a lot, turn that into something else, and then turn that into something else. And that's what builds, and that's what's a lot of fun about journaling, is that you can just keep going and keep going and keep going, because you can pinpoint one specific thought you have based on what you've said before and just talk about it. That being said, if any major life event happens to me, I will talk about that event. If anything makes me cry or makes me really happy, I will document it. I make a ton of lists. I know I do to-do lists pretty much twice a week, or if not more or less, in my journal. If you hear something interesting and you have been turning it over in your mind, putting it down on paper can help you kind of solve through it and even expand the discussion in your own head. I do a lot of complaining in my journal. It's a great outlet for complaining, especially because I have this YouTube channel. I have a lot of thoughts that I cannot voice publicly, or I could, but they're very personal and might not be received well, so it's a really good place for me to turn to if I feel like I have no one to talk to something about. I can just rant about it. But mainly the things that I draw inspiration from about what to write about are definitely from Tumblr. I love going in the journaling tag on Tumblr and seeing what people are writing about. You can literally discuss anything. You can review a book, you can talk about some movie you just saw, you can write a list of all the things you've done that day, you can talk about coffee, you can talk about boys like I do all the freaking time. I like to intersperse my journals with, again, scrapbooking things like this, a lot of drawings, a lot of pockets which I fill with scraps of paper. I'm so excited to show you guys this journal because I think this is one of my most creative ones yet. Again, here's some to-do lists using lots of colors just to make myself more excited about life. Here's a page where I did a prompt, so as you can see it's this little sticker, and then I talked about it all down here. You can talk about exercise and how you felt doing that. Here's some stuff about work. When I have nothing to write about, I just might write lyrics of a song, and I might annotate lyrics of a song, which I don't have any of in this journal, but I've shown it in previous journal flip-throughs. I talk about politics a lot. I talk about my friends a lot. I talk about things that I'm frustrated with a lot. Sometimes whenever I'm going through my day, I will have a thought and I'm like, I want to journal about that. So I do have a notepad in my phone of things that I thought randomly, or especially quotes. I really want to start a quote journal, so I write down quotes that I really like. But you'll notice as you start to journal that you'll think of things and be like, oh my gosh, I want to write about that, or that would be good to write about. A lot of times I make a list that just has the title things, and then I'll list just random bullets of thoughts that I have. Even if I never elaborate on those or write about them completely, I still like the fact that I got it down on paper. I could talk about so many more specific examples, but I think once more, it's completely up to you. Google, Tumblr, Pinterest, look at ideas and just go off of that. So that being said, I'm sorry this video was very long-winded, but I hope that you did draw some inspiration or got some ideas. It's a very hard topic to pinpoint because, I mean, what you write about is your decision, and it's something that comes so naturally to me now. I just sit down with my journal and the first thing that comes to mind, I'm just like, okay, well that's it, I'm writing. There's so many topics I could do individual journaling videos about. I'm really excited to be filming more, so if you have any ideas or any suggestions or recommendations of videos that you'd like to see about journaling, I'd love to hear about them. I'd love to see pictures of your journal, and until next time, hope you're having a nice life. Goodbye, everyone.